All right, welcome. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest headaches in English grammar. Yup, gerunds versus infinitives. You know that feeling when a sentence sounds perfect, but another one just feels kind of clunky, a little bit off? Well, this is usually why. But don't you worry, because by the end of this, you are going to have the keys to the kingdom. So let's jump right into the big question, the one that probably got you to click on this in the first place. Why is I love to walk perfectly fine, but I enjoy to walk sounds, well, wrong? It feels so arbitrary, right? Almost like it's a secret handshake that only native speakers get. But here's the good news. It's not a secret at all. There are actual rules, and we're about to crack them wide open. Okay, so to get this puzzle sorted, we have to meet our two main characters, the gerund and the infinitive. Seriously, once you get the basic difference between these two, everything else is going to start falling into place. It's the foundation. First up, let's talk about the gerund. Now, I know, the name sounds super technical, but trust me, the idea is easy. You just take a verb, any verb, like walk, and you stick ing on the end. And boom, it's not a verb anymore. It's a noun. It's an activity, a thing. So in that example, walking is great exercise. Walking isn't someone is doing right now. It's the idea of walking, the activity itself. That's the subject of the sentence. And on the other side of the coin, we've got the infinitive. This is like the verb in its most basic, pure form. It's what you'd look up in the dictionary, always with to right in front of it. To walk, to eat, to sleep. Think of it as expressing a goal or a plan or something you want to do. Like in the sentence, she wants to walk. See? It's about her desire. Okay, now this is a really important point, so listen up. Just because a word ends in ing doesn't automatically make it a gerund. You've got to look at its job in the sentence. So in Jenny enjoys walking, what does she enjoy? Walking. It's a thing, a noun. But if you say Jenny is walking, what's she doing right now? She's walking. It's the action verb. Totally different roles. Spotting that difference is half the battle. All right, let's move on to the first big hurdle. When you're starting a sentence and you want to use a verb as the subject, what do? Do you use a gerund or an infinitive? This is where a lot of people get tangled up, so let's clear it up right now. So here's the simple rule of thumb. For everyday, normal conversation, you're going to want to use the gerund. It just sounds more natural. Singing gives me great pleasure. Yep, sounds good. But to sing gives me great pleasure? I mean, it's not technically wrong, but it sounds really formal, maybe a little old-fashioned. Almost like you're about to break into a monologue on a stage. And speaking of sounding like you're on a stage, this is the perfect example. To be or not to be. The most famous example of using an infinitive as a subject comes from Shakespeare himself. It's dramatic, it's poetic, it's profound. So the lesson here? Unless you're writing a tragic play, when you're just talking about your day, stick with the gerund. But, of course, in English, there are always exceptions, right? So when should you start a sentence with an infinitive? Well, it's mainly when you're talking about a purpose. You can think of it as a shorter way of saying in order to. Like, to win the race, you need to train. It also works great for giving instructions, like in a recipe, or when you're laying out a clear goal. In those specific cases, the infinitive is definitely the way to go.
Okay, now we're getting into the part that's, well, is pretty much just memorization. Some verbs are just plain picky. They'll only ever be followed by a gerund. And others will only ever take an infinitive. There's no real why to it. These are just the fixed rules of the game.
So let's look at some of the big ones that always need a gerund. Verbs like enjoy, finish, suggest, avoid. These guys are team gerund all the way. Remember our original question? This is why you enjoy watching movies, not enjoy to watch them. You finish cleaning your room. You don't finish to clean it. For these verbs, it's got to be the ing form, no exceptions. And then, of course, you've got the other team, team infinitive. Take a look at these verbs. Plan, want, decide, promise. See a theme emerging? A lot of these have to do with the future, things you're planning or deciding or hoping for. We plan to travel. We want to learn. We decide to leave. It's all about looking forward. And for these verbs, you've got to use the to form. And now, let's all take a nice deep breath of relief, because there's a bunch of lovely, easygoing verbs that honestly just don't care. Verbs like start, love, hate, prefer. You can follow them with a gerund or an infinitive, and the meaning doesn't change one bit. I love swimming. I love to swim. They're both perfect. So with these, you literally can't mess it up. How great is that?
Okay, you ready for the final boss level? This is where things get really interesting. There are a few very tricky verbs where your choice, gerund or infinitive, doesn't just change how the sentence sounds. It completely, totally changes what it means. Let's start with the verb remember. This is a classic. If you remember doing something with the ing, you're talking about a memory. You're looking back into the past. I remember learning how to swim. It's a memory you have. But if you remember to do something, that's a task. That's for the future. Please remember to cancel the appointment. It's the difference between looking backward at a memory and looking forward at a to-do list.
Stop is another huge one. This is so cool. If you stop doing something, it means you quit, you don't do it anymore. I stopped going to my French class. That's it. Class is over for good. But if you stop to do something, that means you paused what you were doing in order to do something else. So, I stopped to take pictures means I was maybe running or walking. I paused, took some photos, and then probably kept going. Quit versus pause. Big difference.
And last but not least, let's look at try. When you try doing something, think of it like an experiment. You're testing something out to see if it works. My head hurts. Have you tried drinking more water? It's a suggestion, an experiment. But when you try to do something, that implies effort. It's usually something difficult and you might not even succeed. I tried to get the tickets, but they were sold out. See the difference? Experiment versus effort.
Okay, I know that was a ton of information. So let's just boil it all down. What are the absolute most important things to remember from all this? Let's make a quick and easy cheat sheet.
Here we go. 3 simple rules to stick in your brain. Rule number 1. If you're starting a sentence, just use a gerund. It'll sound natural 99% of the time. Rule 2. And this is a great little bonus tip. If you have a preposition, like about, of, in, the word that follows is always a gerund. Always. And rule 3, for those tricky meaning change verbs, just think gerund equals past memory and infinitive equals future task. That'll get you through most situations.
And that's pretty much the whole shebang. See? Not so scary after all. With these rules and tips in your back pocket, this whole gerunds and infinitives puzzle is totally solvable. So, the only question I have for you is, now that you know the rules, what will you remember to practice? Thanks so much for tuning in.